Hi children, this is Mrs. Madden and we will be doing the 12.1 review and reinforcement video where we talk about graphing rational numbers on a coordinate plane. Well, let's take a look at our coordinate plane here. We have our x-axis here, so let's go ahead and type that in. So this is our x-axis, and up and down this is our y-axis. So our x-axis goes right to left, our y-axis goes up and down. Our origin is in the center at 0, 0. Let's talk about our quadrants. Our coordinate plane is broken up into 4 quadrants. Right here at positive, positive is quadrant 1, negative, positive is quadrant 2, negative, negative is quadrant 3, and positive, negative is quadrant 4. Think of the big letter C when trying to figure out the order of the quadrants. Think C for coordinate plane. Your quadrants follow the order of that C. So quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. We're going to do a little practice, but before we do, let's talk about our ordered pairs. An ordered pair is made up of an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate. The x-coordinate, you either go right or left first. If it's a positive number, you go right. If it's a negative number, you go left. Then our y-coordinate is up or down. Our second coordinate, if it's a positive number, you go up. If it's a negative number, you go down. Let's do our first one, positive 4, positive 1. You always start at the origin, so positive 4. We go right or left first, so positive, we go right 4. Our y-coordinate, we go up or down. It's positive 1, so we're going to go up. And we plot our point, and we label our point. Our second one, negative 3, positive 2, so we start at our origin. Negative 3, we go right or left first, so negative is left. Positive 2, for our y-coordinate, we go up or down. It's positive 2, so we go up. Plot our point and label our point. Our third one, negative 2, negative 5, we start at our origin. We go negative 2, which is left, negative 5, which is down. Plot our point and label it. And our last one on this page is positive 1, negative 5. So we start at our origin. Positive 1 goes to the right, negative 5 goes down. Plot our point and label it. Let's do some more practice. Let's take a look at our number lines. Look at how our numbers are labeled. So we have, this is 0, 0, our origin. We have 2, 4, 6. But we have a line in between. So let's go ahead and let's label these numbers what they should be. If this is 0, this is 2. What's halfway between 0 and 2? 1. So you can go ahead and write that in if it isn't labeled. What's halfway between 2 and 4? 3. What's halfway between 4 and 6? 5. So that will give you a good visual when you're plotting your points. That will make it a lot easier to figure out what these numbers are in between the numbers that are labeled. Over here will be negative 1, negative 3, negative 5. Down here will be negative 1, negative 3, negative 5. Now let's go ahead and plot our points. Our first one is positive 3, positive 4. Start at our origin. Positive 3, we go to the left. And that was easy to find since we labeled that 3. Positive 4 will go up. We plot our point and we label it. Let's look at our second one. Negative 4, positive 5. Start at the origin. We go left to negative 4, up to positive 5. Easy to find because I labeled it. Plot your point and label your point. Our third one, negative 5, negative 5. Start at the origin. Negative 5, we go to the left. That's easy to find because I labeled it. And then negative 5, we go down. It's also easy to find because I labeled it. Plot our point. So here's our negative 5. Plot our point and label it. Our last one on this page, we have positive 6, negative 3. Start at the origin. Positive 6, we go right. Negative 3, we go down. And we can find that negative 3 because we labeled it. plot our point, and label our coordinates. Let's go to one more page of practice. This one is a little bit trickier. Let's take a look at our numbers, how they're labeled. We have 0. We know this is 0, 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So we have a space halfway between 0 and 1. What's halfway between 0 and 1? You got it. That's right. 1/2. So if this is 1/2, this is 1. What's in between, halfway between 1 and 2? You got it. It's 1 and 1/2. What's halfway between 2 and 3? You got it. It's 2 1/2. So I can go ahead and label the rest of my numbers. This is 1 and 1/2, 2, 2 and 1/2. Now over here we have 0 and -1, so it's going to be -1/2, -1. This is -1 and 1/2, -2, -2 and 1/2. And that's -3. Down here we have -1/2, -1, -1 and 1/2, -2, and then -2 and 1/2. Now we can go ahead and plot our points. Our first one is +1/2, +2. So let's start at our origin. We go to the right because it's +1/2. So here's 1/2. And then we go up because it's +2. We plot our point and we label our point. Our next one is -1, +2.5. So let's start at our origin and we're going to go to -1, so that's left. So we go over -1 and then up to +2 1/2. And since I've labeled that on my number line, it's easy to find. We know that +2 1/2 is halfway between +2 and +3. So go ahead and label your point. Our third one, we have -3, -1/2. So let's start at our origin. So -3, we're going to go to the left, and then -1/2, that means we go down. And -1/2 is in between 0 and -1, which is right there. Little hard to read, but it's there. And we label our point, -3, -1/2. And our last one for this video, +1 1/2, -2. Start at my origin. +1 1/2, I go to the right, and since I've labeled it, I can find it. It's halfway between +1 and +2. So 1 1/2, and then -2. I'm going to go down, plot my point, and I label it. Hopefully these examples have been helpful for you to understand plotting points on a coordinate plane, whether the numbers are labeled every spot or every other spot and you have to figure out the intervals and fill in the numbers. Hopefully this has helped you, and we'll see you next time.